Hi everybody, and welcome to our June webinar. I'm Denise, your host for today's session, and in just a moment I will hand off to Alex, but first let's do some very brief housekeeping. Please know that by default everyone is muted upon joining the webinar. Each of you should see a control panel similar to what I'm displaying here, and at the bottom there's a section where questions can be typed. They can be typed in at any time during the webinar, and then during the Q&A I will read all questions aloud in the order they were received. And when the replay of today's session is available, we will send a direct link to it where all questions and their answers will be posted as well. Also, since this graphic, there has been a new handout feature that's become available. So we did load the do-it-yourself instructions for anyone wishing to download it now, but we will also provide it to each person in the Encore email that you'll receive following the webinar. And that is it for housekeeping. I'll now hand off to Alex Kim, 32Soft's fearless founder. Alex, if you're ready.
Yes, I am.
Okay, here you go.
Hello and welcome everyone. First off, I'd like to thank all of you for finding time and joining us today and your interest in our solutions. So today we're going to talk about automating the distribution of supplier schedules. And we're going to briefly touch base today the supplier schedule process in QAD, and then we'll talk about whether or not you should automate supplier schedule transmissions. And we'll talk about 3 ways to implement it: do it yourself, 100%, and do it yourself with LBox, and why this might be a better option as opposed to number 1. And we'll touch base also do it for me option. But the mainly focus would be on 1 and 2. And then we'll wrap it up with a Q&A session. So let's start with why supplier schedules. QAD has 3 purchasing functions: the supplier schedule, discrete purchase orders, and blanket purchase orders. And as it's highlighted here on this slide, supplier schedule module is more suitable for companies where you have long-term contracts with suppliers, where you require material deliveries on a regular basis. And supplier schedules are visible to MRP, and you can have you would have multiple delivery dates of the same item for the duration of the contract. So if we look into the supplier schedule process in QAD, we will know that first of all, you have to set up prior to use the module. You have to set up certain things, and first is the supplier calendars, right? So whether or not you're going to be using them or not, that's the step QAD recommends to have. Supplier calendar in 5.5.1.1. And then also you will need to set up schedule orders in 5.5.1.13 menu. And then after that, next you would use supplier schedule update function from MRP, which is 5.5.3.1. And then manually you can update or fine-tune the schedule using the 5.5.3.3 function where needed. And the last step would be to actually send the latest supplier schedule release to your supplier or a range of suppliers. In other words, we physically need to let our suppliers know what items, in which quantities, on which dates we expect shipments from them. So, and today we're going to talk about how this part can be enhanced and improved and be automated through email. And by the way, we are hosting another webinar in September dedicated to supplier schedule data management, how to manage supplier schedule data more efficiently with the use of our data loaders. So it's again going to be hosted in September. So, and now let's go back to the transmission process of schedule releases. So supplier schedule can be transmitted in one of the following ways. Through EDI, and EDI is a great option if you don't mind covering the ongoing cost of cost associated with the EDI transactions. And besides, the setup is required for both parties, for your company and for your supplier. However, not all suppliers can afford EDI. But if they can, it's a great option to proceed. The next option is widely used. It's basically you print and fax supplier schedule individually for each supplier, one at a time, and it's labor intensive. So the more suppliers you have, the more time and effort it would require to actually process the schedules. And another variation of print and fax is basically print it, scan it, and then email it. Again, if it's done one by one, then it's a labor-intensive process as well. However, when it's performed massively and automatically to a range of selected suppliers, or maybe to all of the suppliers that you deal with schedules, then would be a favorable solution. Let's have a look into the manual process comparing with the massive fully automated process. So in manual process, as I mentioned earlier, you do it one by one, and somebody physically will need to print it off and then process and send it over. Whereas with the automated process, the system, the ERP system itself, it generates and sends emails to suppliers with the latest supplier schedule releases, right? So no people involved into transmission. So let's talk about the benefits. And first of all, you will free up people resources for more important tasks, as they don't need to spend their time and effort over and over again. So that might, be a substantial over time, right? So that effort. So the next thing is that people make mistakes, right? So not often, but sometimes that happens, and sometimes that might be a costly mistakes. So, like for example, sending wrong schedule to a good supplier, or sending a good schedule to a wrong supplier. Right? So, whereas an automated process is more accurate and more reliable in this sense. Next, suppliers get schedules quicker, which it gives them more convenience, like increases the turnaround time for them, right? And then automated processes actually is scalable. With the push of a button, you transmit 5 or 50 or 500 schedules at the same time with no additional effort, right? Whereas with the manual process, the more suppliers you deal with, the more time and effort that would be required. And finally, you get a good cost savings gain over time, right? So that's also could be a benefit. So if it does make sense to automate, let's talk about how it can be done. And the first method is do-it-yourself 100%. With this method, you don't need to purchase any software or hardware or any services. However, you have to have someone on your team with technical expertise, and specifically that person needs to understand and modify Progress 4GL program and be able to install this program to QED menu. Right? The second method is do it yourself with LBox. And this method is similar to number one, but gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of the output format. In other words, LBox, with LBox you can generate more slick or professionally looking supplier schedule documents as opposed to number one. And you will have to purchase LBox software license, but the good news is that it's not expensive. And the last but not least solution is Do It For Me. This is where we would provide the turnkey solution for you. We're not going to spend much time on that one. So let's talk about do-it-yourself option, 100%. Just repeating myself, it's a simple method which brings you a good value, takes you to the next level as you automate in the process. And as I said, no need to purchase anything, but just to have a person who would implement it, actually follow the instruction, like step-by-step instruction. And the output would be the schedule release is printed to the body of the email for each supplier. We will see in a minute how it's going to look like. But the first step would be with this method, as well as in the second method, is to flag the suppliers that would be signed up for that process. So we provide a program, a simple program, a maintenance program, which you would use to enter the email address of the customer service contact of your supplier, or the other, maybe some other contacts from the supplier side. So by having the email address against the supplier number, the system will understand like this supplier will be selected for sending the latest schedule releases to them. And as I said, we provide the source code. So once this step is done, the process will look like you will just install a new supplier schedule print program to the system. And again, we provide you source code and guidance how to do this. And this program can be run from QAD menu, or you can schedule it to be run overnight as part of your batch process. And the program generates email for each supplier with the schedule printed to the body of the email, looking like this on the screen. And the email subject line states the company name, and you can actually add or change to any other meaningful information in the subject line of your choice. This method is simple, yet effective, and might be very well sufficient for you to go to the next step, next level. Also, you may incorporate the URL link to the terms and conditions page that can be placed on your corporate website. Or alternatively, you can actually add logic to that program and then print the terms and conditions right after the, also to the email body, right? And then it'll be right under the supplier schedule release, right? So it'll be following in the email body. To recap, it's a simple method which you can do all by yourself without purchasing any software, no hardware or services. Simply follow step-by-step instruction. Even though it's straightforward and not hard to do, yet you can dramatically improve the process, bringing a tangible result, right? So that'd be something to consider. And the next method is do-it-yourself with LBox. It's similar to number one, but it allows you more flexibility with in terms of the format, the output format. for a reasonable, justifiable cost of software tool called LBox. And what exactly is LBox? Well, LBox is our 32Soft software tool, which was designed specifically to convert QAD output to a branded PDF documents or Microsoft Excel documents and deliver them to your partners or internal staff who have no access to QAD ERP. And this is done massively and automatically via email, and this is just one of the applications with the supplier schedules, how it can be done. LBox also gives you an ability to brand your schedules, invoices, purchase orders, sales orders, etc., as well as customize outgoing email with personalized content or maybe marketing messages if it needs to be. To summarize, LBox simply provides convenience, sharing QAD ERP data. That's all it does. And with method number 2, we also provide step-by-step instruction how you can implement a supplier schedule distribution, but this time the schedule release is printed to more sleek format, a good-looking branded PDF document attachment, right? And then you also will be given a free trial of LBox with the instruction how to install and configure it. And then, of course, and also you can use it for any other processes as well. How the process looks like? Well, a new schedule program similarly to process number 1, you will have a new schedule print program looking similar to the one on the screen. And you run the program to a new printer output called LBox. And similarly, this program can be run from menu or be scheduled to run automatically at night as a part of your batch, overnight batch. And the output, the supplier will receive an email looking like this one on the screen, with also email subject line can state the company name or any other meaningful information of your choice. And the message, the email message will have a PDF attachment, and when they open, they will see a nice looking PDF document, looking like this one here on the screen. And also I have to say that the email body can be personalized if needs to be, right? So you can program, so instead of having a generic content here on the email body, it could be be personal and then have some more information, more specifically for that supplier as well. So it can be programmed such a way. And let's talk about how LBox makes PDFs. When you select LBox in QAD as a printer, the program reads the output from QAD and merges it with a static PDF template. And the template can have a logo, some light graphics or boxes or legal reads, etc. And then it simply overlays the one over another, right? So the text over the static content, resulting with a good-looking PDF document, as you can see on the screen. And how you can develop a PDF template, it's entirely up to you. The simplest way is just by using Microsoft Word. You can add content to a Microsoft Word document, just light graphics or logos and boxes, etc., and convert the Word document into PDF and use it with the LBox. Just to recap, it's also pretty straightforward, setup. It's not hard to implement, although with this option, with this method, you would need to purchase a license of LBox, which is, again, not expensive. And the last option is do it for me option. And with this one, it's not much to say. Basically, we will just learn, sit down and talk with you, and then learn what's your goal is, what's your process, current processes, and we'll give you a quote for turnkey solution. And this option is good when you have a limited IT resources and you get a quick implementation and exactly as you requested, and we provide warranty and support. In conclusion, just want to recap that by automating the supplier scheduled transmission process, you free up people's resources, eliminating possibility of making any errors, right? And then provide convenience and savings, and it's not hard to implement, but gives you a good tangible results. Most importantly, that you can do it all by yourself. So with that, I'd like to hand the control over to Denise for Q&A.
Thanks, Alex. That was great, of course. I will take control now. Okay, here is a look at our upcoming webinars. As you see next month, it will be Christian who will demonstrate a clever way to modify your QAD tables and expand the functionality of your QAD system. What's more is that it's easy as it is clever. Then in August, we do take a summer break, so there is no August webinar, but we are right back to it in September. And as Alex mentioned earlier, Olena will be back to show how easily you can generate a scheduled orders report directly from QAD, create new supplier records in a snap, and of course much more from Olena in September. And registration is open for both July and September. We also have coming up, we'll have more details soon, but if you're planning to attend the Fall Midwest User Group Conference, 32Soft will be there, so please be sure to stop by and say hello. And as always, and as mentioned, we will follow up as soon as the replay from today is available. Typically, that's within about a week, so keep your eye open for your Encore email. It will include the do-it-yourself details and direct links to the replay, questions and answers, and you will always find upcoming webinar or event information and registration links at the bottom of all of our webinar-related communications. I'm going to circle back before we wrap up and see if we have any additional questions. And we do not, but keep them coming. If you want to give us a call, shoot us an email. We will include any questions we receive right up until we post the replay. We'll include, obviously, the answers along with those. So let's go ahead and wrap up. Action implies that I've made a choice, a decision. Movement is just me drifting with the tide. We should, therefore, never confuse movement with action. We really appreciate everybody taking the time to join us today, and thank you very much. We hope you are able to join us again next month, and have a fantastic day, everybody. Thanks, Alex, and thank you, Christian, as well.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.